On behalf of Smart Dolphins, welcome to today's session. As many of you already know, we host sessions on a variety of different training topics, and we're extra excited to bring you part 2 of this webinar series. Last week, we introduced everyone to this topic more broadly, talking about demystifying the AI landscape, and today's session is a little bit more focused on structuring AI use and accountability. We're really helping you integrate AI intentionally and safely. Oh, sorry, a few more people coming in here. Introducing myself, my name is Andrew. I'm a VCIO, or Virtual Chief Information Officer at Smart Dolphins, and talking to business leaders about tech is my primary role. And it seems like AI is the one thing that everyone is thinking about at least a little bit. I've never seen a technology that has hit the scene before and has come up in almost every single meeting following it. So, big change here. Before we get going, I also want to do an introduction to Smart Dolphins for anyone who isn't familiar. We're not just an IT provider, we're a strategic technology partner. For over 25 years, we've helped organizations not only stay secure, but genuinely thrive. And we bring this mission to life through sessions like today's. Technology alone isn't enough, really. Empowering people with knowledge and confidence is the key to success here. And it's really never been more important to talk about that. As I shared last week, there's been an unprecedented rise in the use of generative AI. And in fact, in 2023, this is ancient history in terms of AI now, OpenAI found that nearly 80% of jobs could see at least 10% of their tasks impacted by generative AI, and around 20% could see as much as 50% of their tasks impacted. And I think, again, the size of this event today really speaks to how many people are seeing that in their organizations already. I've also spoken to how many clients are experimenting with this technology. There's a lot of excitement, but there's also a lot of uncertainty, and that's what today is about, helping you explore how to approach AI with structure, clarity, and accountability. Really short disclaimer, I'm going to read word for word here before we begin. I would like to remind everyone that this session is recorded. This recording may be published so that it is available to the public via our YouTube channel and other social media. If you speak during the presentation, you may appear in the published version of the recording. You are encouraged to ask questions throughout the webinar, but please type your questions into the Q&A section. I don't think we have a handout today for this session. I haven't seen the link go in there yet, so if we do have one, that'll pop up there, sorry. And we will be reserving some time at the end for a Q&A session. So please put your questions into the Q&A. We'll address those or save them for the end, and we'll get to them when we have time at the very finish there. Oh, there we go. There we've got a little bit more information about our session and a handout that you can use to follow along. We'll also be following up on today's session with the handout, so you can see that if you didn't get it in the chat, and then a survey. Now to introduce today's presenter/trainer. It's my great pleasure to welcome Jolynn Reen. She is a certified trainer and Microsoft Master Instructor with over 30 years of experience. So without further ado, Jolynn, please take it away.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Andrew. So hello, everyone, and welcome to our session today on structuring AI use and accountability. I'm thrilled to have you all here with us today. So in this session, we're going to explore the roles, the principles, and the policies that can really help your organization effectively manage AI use. We'll cover everything from understanding what shadow AI is to drafting AI principles and creating a robust, really kind of an AI policy for usage of AI tools. Our goal is to provide you with that practical insight and actionable steps to ensure responsible and effective AI adoption. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay. So first off, this is our AI readiness roadmap where we have the phases laid out for that, all the way from initiation, exploration to full deployment. And each of these phases is designed to really guide your organizations through their AI journey, ensuring they have the necessary structure and support at every step. So the repeated question, who is this for, really highlights our focus on tailoring our approach to different types of organizational needs, from those just starting to explore AI to those that are already using AI or ready to deploy that. So here's a little bit on our agenda of what the different sections are that we'll be covering here today to kind of set that stage for a more comprehensive discussion on really kind of structuring that AI use and accountability, focusing mainly on the roles, principles, and the policies. Okay. So our first section today is understanding shadow AI, which introduces that concept of, where is AI really being used and what is the risk of having unstructured AI tools that everyone has access to with no governance. We also will briefly cover the opportunity of costs associated with unstructured AI use. So with that being said, why does this matter? So why this matters now is really kind of people see this as an urgency of really kind of understanding the impact that AI has on organizations, where it highlights the risks associated with informal AI use, such as lost competitive advantages or inconsistency, which we see a lot of. By framing the discussion around the need for early structure, we can emphasize the importance on proactive measures in managing AI effectively. So a few things there on that informal use, the lack of expectations, which create risks, really that confusion that people will have when things are not consistent. So understanding what shadow AI is really crucial for organizations as it refers to the informal use of AI that occurs without oversight. So this slide really explains the reasons behind that prevalence, such as easy access to tools and unclear guidelines. So by acknowledging this phenomenon, we can better address the challenges it presents and develop those strategies that we need to manage AI usage effectively. So what is it? Clearly stated there, AI use that happens informally without organizational oversight or policies. Okay, so we really want to be thinking about that. And why does this happen? Because tools are really easy to get to. People can be signing up for free accounts on things like ChatGPT. There's free accounts with Microsoft Copilot. AI is everywhere, it seems. So having unclear or really just allowing these things to happen is definitely huge risk. So let's take a look at a few examples of unstructured AI use. So on this slide, it provides a real world examples of this unstructured AI use, really kind of illustrating the potential pitfalls organizations do face. Each scenario highlights the risk of relying on AI without proper oversight, really kind of emphasizing the need for clear guidelines and review processes to ensure accuracy and accountability in AI generated content. We got to be very careful with the content that gets distributed. So with data analysis, because we use AI to summarize reports, on an admin side, we draft board notes with AI. And if we kind of let these continue to go without having governance behind them, we're definitely opening things up for risks. So what unstructured AI use looks like. Here we'll explore the visual behaviors that indicate unstructured AI use within your organizations. This list of underlying causes serves as a diagnostic tool for leaders to identify areas needing attention. So by recognizing these behaviors, organizations can take steps to implement better governance and really the oversights of AI use. So as you could see, no AI policies, untrained users, and the untrained users really kind of hits home for me. We've had some things happen recently that people weren't trained on what really happens with your information when you put it out in AI. So that was such an eye opener. So we really want to make sure that we're truly understanding what the power is behind this. What does it do or what doesn't it do? So very important to have those things in our governance type policies. So unstructured AI risks, where this slide really outlines those risks associated with that, such as data exposure or trust erosion. So by highlighting these concerns, we can underscore the importance of establishing clear policies and practices to help mitigate the risks and ensure responsible use of AI within our organizations. So even the smallest little mistake that we can sometimes make could end up being a risk. If we're putting financial information out in AI, we got to really kind of think of the trust. And so we need to have these policies to help us to make sure that people understand how AI works. So continuing with that discussion on unstructured AI, opportunity costs of this are sufficient as they can hinder organizational momentum and your growth. So here it emphasizes that without a structured approach, teams may be missing out on valuable insight and efficiencies that really can be gained from effective AI integration. It calls for a shift in mindset towards viewing AI as a capability rather than a novelty. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. So we really want to see what can AI really be doing for our organizations so that it isn't, because it's not going to be a passing phase at all. So here's a poll for you. In this interactive poll, we want to gauge your awareness of your AI usage, understanding where organizations stand in terms of AI oversight is very critical in identifying areas for improvement and ensuring that AI practices really align with our strategic goals within our organizations. So which statement best describes your AI usage? Visibility. We actively manage and control. We know some tools are being used. We suspect use. We're not using AI tools yet, to our knowledge. And that's where sometimes things come into play. We don't always know. Okay. So let's take a look at what results we have. I don't know if anyone else is surprised at this. I was a little surprised, but we know some tools are being used but don't manage them was so far 56% of your responses. Now 55. So when we see that as a result of that, we know some tools are being used, but don't manage them. That can actually be a little scary. Great that they're starting to use them, they're exploring that, but as leaders, we do need to kind of step in and make sure that things are going to be done correctly. Okay, thanks for taking that first poll with us. Okay. So leaders must define how we use AI in our organizations. So this slide really kind of highlights the impact of team norms on AI habits, because we all have habits, so we got to think about those habits, and the importance of establishing clear guidelines to really foster a culture of responsible AI use. So this table really contracts the low and the high structure environments, illustrating the balance between control and creativity that organizations should be striving for. So we have this kind of laid out with the low structure, low trust, high trust, just to give you an idea. So for high structure and high trust, it's aligned experimentation, which could be your goal, or tight control would be clear rules and less freedom. So that's going to depend on your organization at hand. But we would like to take another poll here just to kind of see where everybody is at with this. So this poll invites you to reflect on your current AI environment. This self-assessment will help you to understand your readiness for AI integration and identify areas where you may need to enhance your policies or your practices. So which quadrant best describes your current environment? The risk, creative chaos. I like that, creative chaos. Tight control, aligned experimentation. So where are you at? Which quadrant best describes your current environment? Oh, I see the one I answered. Creative chaos is kind of leading the way here so far. Tight control coming in at a second place here. For me, I kind of just really liked the answer, creative chaos. I feel like we're always in chaos. I'm not so creative, but I really like the chaos part of that. That's good verse. Okay, thanks for taking that poll with us. So let's go on to section 2. 2 key roles to drive AI adoption. So in this section, we'll introduce 2 important roles for driving AI within your organization. Really kind of understanding these roles being critical for fostering the culture that we need to have for embracing technology advancements. So the first role likely pertains to leadership, which is responsible for setting the vision and the strategy for AI integration. That second role may focus more on the technical expertise side, ensuring that the necessary skills and knowledge are in place to really implement the AI solutions effectively. So, kind of as we move forward, it's important to consider how these roles can collaborate to maximize the benefit of AI. So here, key roles are essential for establishing structured AI use within our organizations. So this slide identifies the AI owner and the AI adoption lead as really very critical positions for oversight and operational support. So by clarifying these roles, organizations can ensure accountability and effective implementation of our AI policies. Don't need to be new hires all the time, but in practice, especially in mid to large organizations, there could be more people with different roles. So it kind of depends on your organization as to which structure of roles you should have with AI. But the key role is going to be the AI owner, one of the key roles. So when we talk about this AI owner, this slide really outlines their responsibilities, emphasizing the importance on monitoring use patterns and ensuring that AI governance is integrated into leadership discussions. So this role is vital for fostering a culture of accountability and informed decisions that we need regarding AI usage. So they're going to monitor the usage patterns, they're going to track incidents, which Microsoft lists as a great option for tracking those incidents. Don't need to be technical. Ideal fit, someone in admin, administration, or an owner-aligned leadership role. They usually are reporting to the business owner or the leadership team, depending on how your hierarchy flows and the size of your organization, because as we know, people can play do multiple roles. I'm putting a hat on they wear multiple hats in our organizations. Okay. But another key role, AI adoption lead, which is very critical for translating AI policy into practical applications. So this slide really highlights their role in promoting AI literacy and supporting teams in navigating their AI tools. So by fostering a culture of learning and experimentation, This position can help your organization maximize your benefits of AI while minimizing that risk. So interprets the AI policy for real world use, promotes it, escalates pattern of misuse or confusion, helps onboard new hires so that they understand our AI. They usually report to the AI owner. They usually report to the AI owner. Think of this role as internal AI enablement, not policy enforcement. Okay, so kind of think about these roles within your organizations. Now, of course, we're going to have supporting roles, which are essential for effective AI governance for sure. Now, this slide outlines the IT department's responsibility ensuring the policies and the security on the AI tools. We'll leave that to the IT department. Additionally, it introduces the concept of an AI council, depending on your organization, which can provide cross-functional oversight and alignment on AI initiatives. Particularly in larger organizations is where we see that, right? So sometimes we need other supporting roles. Creating a AI roles matrix with here's the title, here's what they're responsible for is a good idea. Roles and responsibilities matrix. So let's take another poll if you would. So this poll seeks to determine whether organizations have designated an AI owner, either formally or informally. Understand the presence of this role being critical and assessing the maturity of AI governance within organizations and identifying areas for improvement. So, do you already have someone serving as an owner, whether it's formal or informally? Let's see how many we have on this one. How many yeses and how many nos? I'm super curious on this one. Ah. Yeah, the numbers keep climbing on no one owns this yet. I got to tell you, you're not alone. This is very common. Oh, good. I'm seeing numbers climb for not yet, but we know who it could be. I'm glad to see those numbers keep climbing. So a few more results coming in yet. No one owns it yet is still reaching the top there. Right now at 42%, 41. Keeps changing, 41, 42. So I think this is really an eye-opener for us. Nobody owns this yet. So that should be on our higher priority list, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and click done on that. Thank you for taking that poll for us. And let's jump over to section 3, drafting AI principles. This next section will focus on establishing guidelines for your AI usage, which are, of course, essential for safe practices and help mitigate those risks associated with this AI technology that we are in. Okay, so drafting AI principles that reflect organizational culture is a fundamental step in establishing responsible AI use. So here this slide provides guidance on how to start this process, emphasizing the importance on aligning AI practices with your company's core values. So by translating values into actionable statements, organizations can create a framework for ethical AI usage. So start with 4 to 6 core values your company already lives by. Ask yourself, if this value shows up in how we use AI, what would it look like? Translate into short, clear, behavior-driven statements. So put that on your to-do list for sure. But let's take a look at some examples of how core values can translate into specific AI principles. By articulating clear expectations for AI use, organizations can really foster a culture of accountability and integrity. So these principles really serve as a guide for our employees, ensuring that AI is used responsibly and ethically in all contexts. So accuracy, transparency, trust. We don't submit unreviewed AI outputs to clients. That's a big one. Respect, learning. We review AI use regularly to improve things. Confidentiality. We never paste client financial or personal data into public AI tools. And a lot of people don't realize that because once again, it's kind of what is happening in the background. We don't always understand how these AI tools work in the background. Okay. So efficiency, we use AI to reduce repetitive tasks, not to cut corners on quality. So there's some great uses. Every day I use AI, but I want to make sure that I'm keeping things transparent. I have that confidential information left out, etc. So let's take a look at some things in section 4 with drafting our AI policies. So transitioning from AI principles to a policy framework is critical for really operationalizing values. So here we emphasize the importance on clear policies that define actions and expectations. So by bridging the gap between intent and behavior, organizations can avoid common pitfalls associated with vague or performative policies. Really kind of turning what we believe into how we operate. Love that statement, by the way. Turning what we believe into how we operate. Okay. So how to use principles in your policy outlines, how to effectively incorporate those principles into an AI usage policy, AI up, AIUP. By framing the policy as a practical guide, organizations can really ensure that it is user-friendly and accessible. Each principle can inform specified sections of the policy, making it easier for employees to understand and to follow. We want it to be easy to understand and easy to follow. Okay, so what's considered approved use, what explicitly prohibited, who reviews cases, who reviews data before it gets published, how and when the policy evolves, how often is this going to update. So what goes into an AI use policy? Let's discuss the core sections that should be included in an AI policy, along with some guidance tips. So by providing a clear structure, your organizations can ensure that their policies are practical and actionable, with the emphasis on kind of that plain language and briefness will help make sure the policy is more relatable and easier to reference. So the core sections, the purpose, approved uses, prohibited uses, oversight and updates. And the guidance tip, use plain language. Don't make it legally, look legal. Anchor sections in your principles, keep it short enough to be referenced, not skimmed over and then just filed away. Okay. We want them to really be able to understand what they could or should be doing. Okay. So here's some examples of how an AI usage policy might look a little different depending on the organization. So by tailoring the policy to specific needs and priorities, your organizations can ensure that it is relevant and effective. So these examples really kind of illustrate the flexibility required to accommodate various operational environments while maintaining that core principles. So these two examples, the nonprofit, like a small team, resource sensitive, and the tech startup, it's more fast moving or client facing. The purpose, the approved use, the prohibited use, and the oversight. Just to give you some ideas if your organization is similar to these. But let's take a look at another group of organizations. So continuing with this theme of tailored AI use policies, on this slide, we provide additional examples of different types of organizations, professional services, or retail businesses. So by showcasing diverse approaches, we can highlight the importance of aligning AI policies with your organizational goals and operational realistically, reensuring that they are practical and effective. So when you take a look at professional services, depending on, where your company fits within these different categories, or if you're a retail business, use AI to improve service and internal communication, so what's the purpose behind us using it? What's going to be the approved usage for it? Writing internal training materials. But prohibited is entering customer information, you're going to see that a lot, or any payment information into our AI tools. The oversight reviewed biannually. So kind of depending on your organization, we really want to be thinking about these. So if you saw your organization within one of these examples, take note on that. Okay. So poll number 4 for you. In this poll, we aim to assess the current status of AI policies within organizations. Understanding where organizations stand in terms of policy development will really help identify the gaps and the opportunities for improvement, guiding future discussions and initiatives. So, policy development. What best describes your current AI policy status? Is it fully written and shared, drafted but not finalized, discussed not documented? Or are we no policy yet? No policy yet. 50% so far that have answered. No policy yet. Really close on drafted, but not finalized. Discussed, not documented. Sharing that second place there. Drafted, not finalized. But clearly it looks like from the responses that we're getting, no policy yet. So if you stop and think about that, should that be on our to-do list? Absolutely. Part of the policy is going to be those roles and responsibilities. So you want to start thinking about where are you? Where do you want to be? What do you need to do to get there? Kind of what is going to be your plan? Okay. Looks like we're not getting more responses. So it looks like we're going to be at the 52% on that no policies yet, but drafted but not finalized is 24%. I'm happy to see that because you're thinking about it. You're starting to put things in play. Good. My response was discussed, not documented. The reason that was my response is because I'm kind of doing it based on the people that I've worked with to help them develop their AI policies and procedures. A lot of them have started the discussion, but they really haven't been putting things down on paper. Get the document created, get it started. That's all you need to do. And then as you start thinking of things, keep adding to it. Okay? Start small. We go in baby steps. Okay. Thank you for taking that poll. Final poll. that we'll be doing today. So in this poll, we seek to understand the barriers organizations face in keeping AI policies visible. Identifying these challenges will help us develop strategies to enhance policy awareness and ensure that guidelines are effectively communicated and adhered to across our organizations. So, what's your biggest barrier to keeping policies visible in your organization? Not just AI, because we may not have that policy. Some people don't have policies for a lot of things within their organization, and they might need to kind of work a little bit on those. Okay. So no feedback loop from teams, but existing policies. Then a close second, we haven't written any policies yet. Some organizations will have email use policies, really kind of just letting people know that the emails that you do through our domain are owned by our company, just kind of policies like that. Anytime we're using a computer, we want to kind of make sure that people understand this is confidential information for internal usage only, those kind of things. So not everybody, depending on your organization size, you may not have a lot of policies, but this one could be an important one. And I really want you to consider having these policies. Even if you're going to incorporate AI with a few other things, it could be computer use or internet use, however you want to be wording it, and having a section with AI usage in it. Because you may be a small enough organization, but when you think about when a new coworker starts at your organization, what do you tell them about it? What do you tell them about your usage? Can they use the internet freely and, do their Facebook or their other social media? Kind of what are those things? Okay. Well, clearly stepped ahead at 55% is no feedback loop from teams about existing policies. And then at 31%, we haven't written any policies yet. Okay, so thank you so much for taking that poll with us. So let's talk about actions leaders can take this month, really emphasizing on the importance of bringing AI principles and policies to life within your organization. Here, it's suggested that several actionable items can be added to your list. So, assign interim AI owner. It doesn't have to be the permanent position. That position can change, but kind of think about who could right now step into the role of being the owner and the AI adoption lead. So start with those roles. Then run a quick audit of shadow AI. Find out if AI is being used, but you really don't know it. Or document, if you did know it, document that. So start putting this all down on paper. Don't just talk about it, start doing the actions. So draft or update your AI usage policy. So get started on that. Facilitate a team conversation on AI principles. Figure out who you need to have involved. Who are the leaders that you need to involve within your organizations? Now, of course, everybody's company can be different sizes. You're going to have different ways of handling this or doing this because you may have two people within your organization that really take care of everything AI related. One person could be in IT, one is already in a leadership position, and they work with the other groups to figure out what does their group need. Because sometimes we break this down into categories based on the different departments that we have. So how is HR going to use it? How is accounting going to use it? How is marketing going to use it, etc. So these steps really aim to ensure that AI use is structured, responsible, and aligned with your company's values and policies. We don't want this to be totally different than any other policy that you may have. So assign that interim AI owner These don't have to be set in stone, but at least get started with these. Run that quick audit. Look for that shadow AI being used. Okay. Draft that AI usage policy. Like I said, it can be incorporated with other policies. Okay. So what's next? Looking ahead, this slide actually introduces the next webinar focusing on shaping AI culture. So this highlights the importance of change management and practical tactics for fostering AI literacy within your organization. So this forward-looking approach really ensures that participants can be prepared for the ongoing evolution of AI within your organizations. So think about your workplaces. What are people going to actually be using AI for? Okay, so shaping AI culture. We'll dive into change management, practical AI literacy, messaging and reinforcement tools. Then we have this smart lab to structuring AI accountability. And what you'll leave with there is that AI responsibility rule matrix, tailored AI principles and accountability use policies, current state data brief, and best for teams that need hands-on help, finalizing those roles, the policy, and early governance. Okay, so that Smart Lab 2 will be a great one. Okay, so I did know there were 6. Sorry, I apologize. I said last poll, but here's our last poll. Sorry about that. Poll 6, your feedback is going to help us to shape what we're going to cover next. So if you could please take a moment to share what was helpful today and where you'd like us to dive deeper, because we're building this journey with you, not just for you. We want to get your feedback so we can shape it for what you need to learn. Okay, so feedback and future topics. How helpful was today's session? What would you like us to explore further? Would you be open to a follow-up? And how did you hear about us? And then some comments or feedback that you want to give us to help us with this or any upcoming AI readiness topics that we're going to cover. Okay. So please take a moment to answer that for us.
Hey, Julian, this poll actually isn't in the in Teams. This will be sent out as part of our follow-up email after
Okay,
the session. Sorry,
excellent.
that
Good
wasn't
to
clear
know.
from the slide deck.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Sorry, but that's quite all right. So really, there were 5. I had it in my head there were 5. So just so everybody knows what Andrew was just saying, this is going to be part of the follow-up email that you'll be getting. So start thinking about this so that you can answer these when you do that follow-up response. Because we are building this for you. We really want to help you to be able to be creating a policy and a governance and getting started on the right foot. People that dive in to AI usage without thinking about things first end up not really understanding its benefits. And it has huge benefits. And we want you to be able to take advantage of those. We don't want you to be scared to use AI. But these few things, we just need to mitigate that risk of using AI within our organizations. So with our upcoming sessions, July 29th, we have our webinar 3, Shaping AI Culture. On August 26th, our webinar 4, which is our data readiness and governance. And then September 23rd, we have our 5th webinar, From Exploration to Execution. So there's lots more opportunities to learn and engage about AI. We're really committed to providing that ongoing support and the resources your organizations need to be navigating the complexity of what AI integration is all about. We're here to help. And that's where those survey answers are really going to come into play as well. Okay. If you haven't already registered for those, you can go to You can email us at info@smartdolphins.com, but you can go to the website into the training. And Andrew, you might have the exact web address that they can go to for
Yeah, I can post
registering
that in
for
the chat here.
events. Yeah, if you would do that, that would be great. Then they can have a link, because if they haven't already signed up, I think it would be great for them to do that. Get that link right now so they can click on it and go directly there and get signed up. Okay.
I posted that in the chat.
So before I hand it back over to Andrew, I just really want to thank you all for joining us today. I think it's very important to really be grasping what's happening with AI and let it help you in your businesses. It isn't going to be taking away jobs, it's going to be helping our jobs. And we hope you found a lot of valuable information from these first two sessions, and you're ready to take those actionable steps within your organizations. So remember, the journey is responsible AI use, starting with clear principles and policies. Okay. So Andrew, did we have any questions come through from the group?
There are a few questions here. Yeah, thank you for putting those in. If you do have any, feel free to pop those into the Q&A, or if I've misunderstood your question, you can clarify in the chat there if you're comfortable. The first question that came up was, what about MS Copilot? Anything you put in chat is technically protected by the privacy policies already part of a business's subscription, right? Meaning less unstructured risk than ChatGPT. I would say that that's true by default for the Microsoft 365 or Copilot for Microsoft 365. The flip side is that Copilot, it comes in several flavors in Microsoft. So the default one, that when you're in Bing, or when you open up Edge, that one is by default the free version of MS Copilot, and that one does train. ChatGPT is kind of in the same situation, that all of their versions, with the exception of Teams, Enterprise, and their API version, they also train on your data by default. But both of them do have the option to opt out your chat subscriptions or your chat conversations are being used for training data.
History.
But that is a manual process in order to do that. So again, the risk mostly is from people using these tools without the policy or configuring that setting, where the licensed versions tend to give you that sort of control from an enterprise perspective. Hopefully that answers the question. If you have a clarifying detail, let me know. Another question that we had was, we really need help with practical training webinars, like how we use AI to automate tasks or support existing tasks by adding efficiency. AI Companion in Zoom, MS Copilot, ChatGPT free versus subscribed, other tools we don't even know about. This would be a part of the actual lab series. So the way it's structured is that you would start by policy and governance and all that sort of thing. And if you have a lot of that in place, we can review that with you quickly and then get more into sort of the fun, meaty part of what kinds of ways can you implement automation. And GPT gives some examples of the way that we've implemented it and that sort of thing. So the lab series is much more focused on that practical side and more tailored type of experience. The use of AI is going to vary quite a lot across industries. So another question here. Missed webinar 1. Can I review the handout from webinar 1? Can we get the webinar 1 link sent out? Did we have that shared yet? Just send it out to my other people here. Another question here is, what are the risks about widely available tools like Google's AI search feature? For example, we learned that there's an ongoing court case in New York requiring all AI search tools to retain queries, even though they say they don't keep user data or searches. This is where the AI policy really comes in handy. This is kind of the first framework. Google they don't ask permission to make these types of changes, and so that's a risk your business is exposed to. If you have a policy that says only certain types of data can be used, then you might explore things like stating that Google is not a viable option for your business searches anymore. You have to use Bing or some other search tool, DuckDuckGo or whatever, to avoid this particular risk. And really, I think even in that first question I answered about data privacy, the legislation is evolving rapidly as we progress here. This is a brand new thing. It's only been out for a couple of years, and the world's reacting to it right now. So you should expect that to change over time. Hopefully that answers the question, but please clarify if not.
Keep in mind, AI is really being implemented into organizations, and as it's being implemented, everybody's learning. So AI is learning and we're learning. So it's going to be an evolving. Just like, you get updates to your software applications, AI is going to continuously change. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Andrew.
No. That's a great addition. There's another question here. We have an AI policy, but I think our staff as a whole need training on Gen AI. What type of training platforms are you recommending to use to train all staff, not just the administrative staff? I don't know if we have a very specific training recommendation. There is a massive variety of tools. Our lab series obviously is the one I would recommend off the top of my head here. But then in terms of if you're talking about which platforms to use, I think really my advice there is to choose one and invest in that heavily, and your policy and your principle should state sort of that's the one you use.
Correct.
Copilot and ChatGPT are almost comparable in most ways. And if you choose to use one of those, implement it in a structured way and say, this is the tool you use, you'll have a much better time. But in terms of training resources, I'm not personally aware, although we might be able to share some of anything that really gives you a Gen AI overview. But a lot of my own personal learning has come from various YouTube sources. There's a really great prompt engineering course that Google put out, and someone made a 20-minute summary of that prompt engineering course. That was probably my best sort of improvement in AI.